Call the meeting to order. It's after 7 o'clock. My name is Chris Armstrong. I'm your moderator. It's obvious from those in attendance and those here on the podium that the quorum requirement is met. And so now if we could proceed with the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, I'll call upon the Selectman of our Board, the Chairman of our Board of Selectmen, Jeff Walker.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. I would like to introduce the members of the Board of Selectmen. You've just heard Jeff Walker, the Chairman, Chuck Bayer, Mike all over on this side. I don't see Mike Bogaris here. Damon Jesperson and David Middleton, is he here? No? Okay. And then I'd like to introduce the Finance Committee over on this side at the far end. The Chairman, Frank Remling, Linda Allen, Gene Case, Bob Connors, Larry Gay, who's not here. No, he's not. Erica Jacobson, and Marshall Jesperson. And I've had a chance this week to see some of the hard work that they do. And I think we should all be grateful to them for all the work they put in on our behalf. The same is true, obviously, of the Board of Selectmen. They put in incredible hours, and it's a tremendous service to the town. It is a pile of work. Okay, I'd like to introduce the town clerk, Leslie Bailey, Susan Noyes, the assistant town clerk, and then the non-resident town employees and contractors, Jenny Kramer, who's here as town council, Eileen DeVoe, the town accountant, Tracy Blaze, our town administrator, Michelle Ranchiforti, the principal assessor, Sam Jocelyn, building commissioner, Michael Riley, chief of police. Is the chief here? Yes, he is. Chris Farmer, superintendent of Triton Regional School. And William DeRosa, superintendent of the Whittier Regional School. I'd like to ask, are there any officials here, like representatives or senators? If there were, I would just like to introduce them and thank them for what they do in our behalf. Okay, we can proceed now. The purpose of this town meeting is primarily to deal with a group of each one by itself fairly minor financial issues, but there are a number of them. There are 7 in all in the articles on the warrant. And I've asked the Finance Committee if they will give us a little presentation so that we understand before we vote on them the state of the town's finances. So I'd call upon Frank Remley, the chairman of the Finance Commission, to start.
this challenge.
All of the microphone started.
Can you hear me?
No.
No?
Yeah, we can hear you. Move the podium if you want. More than that.
Excuse me, Frank, before you begin, there's an item that I forgot, and that was to have the constable read the return of the warrant. Jim Cunningham, please read the return. Thank you for reminding me.
Pursuant to this evening's meeting, I have notified the qualified voters of the forthcoming warrant.
Thank you, Jim.
Okay, we're going to try to keep this brief. The purpose of Fall Town Meeting is basically to update you on our financial situation, our status, and to present articles to you for adjustments, largely in the budget that we appropriated last spring, and any further requests that, such as for capital, that have been proposed. So we'll get to that in a few minutes. I'm going to lead off. First of all, thank you for coming out. Welcome. Hopefully it's not going to be raining this evening. Christopher already introduced you to the Finance Committee. I just want to comment. The only changes that have been made are that we have two representatives on the Capital Planning Committee, as you probably know. Bob Connors has rolled off the committee, and Larry Gay has been elected chairman, and Marshall Jesperson has taken Bob's place. Bob is still on the Finance Committee. So those are the only changes, and it's pretty important that we have that representation with capital planning, because finance and capital planning are pretty closely tied together. Just to quickly remind you of what our role is as a Finance Committee, and we believe this, it's almost in the oath of allegiance, the Finance Committee, that we represent you, town meeting. We're basically your eyes and ears on the financial condition of the town. And to that end, we have full access to all financial records of the town. We meet monthly with Tracy, who's a tremendous asset to us. In fact, we've gotten to the point where we basically ask Tracy, are there any red flags we need to pay attention to? And we might have some other questions and clarifications and what have you, but Tracy was on top of everything, so we rely on her. And that's kind of expanded our role to think more forward ahead to other obligations that are coming along and so forth. We also meet monthly. We meet frequently with other boards and committees, such as the Board of Selectmen. I've counted over 20 meetings we had last year. And for our regular monthly, all those meetings have minutes that unfortunately I have to take, but they're all filed on the website and usually reviewed by other members of the committee before they are. So there's a rolling record that you can look up. So we also make recommendations on all warrant articles, both at this spring town meeting and to this fall meeting. We'll go through that in a few minutes. So, by the way, Erica is going to give you a snapshot of her current financial condition and some facts that you may want to be aware of before you vote on various articles. There are 7 articles tonight that involve financial transfers. Erica has those summarized in a later slide, and I think it should be pretty clear what you need to vote, but ask questions at any time if there's something you don't understand. As far as FY14 is concerned, it ended, in our view, very well. And the best measure of that is that we have almost 1.6 million in free cash coming out of this year, certified free cash. That's very important. I don't know if you remember 5 or 6 years ago, but we were really struggling to get any free cash, much less those numbers. And Erica will explain how we arrived at that, but basically it's a surplus in revenues and under budget for the year. So management needs to be credited also for managing to their budgets this year. So we'll go through those 11 articles. Erica will give you some background data, and then Eric Spahn will talk a little bit at the end. Eric Spahn is chairman of our Municipal Building Committee. He's an architect with Graham Gund in Boston, and a great asset to our building and engineering plans going forward. And Eric will give you a very brief background on the police station issue, which is looming out there, as you all know, and the subject of a lot of meetings. In fact, we're going to have a joint meeting next week with, I think, 4 different committees to discuss the various options for this. Okay, so with that, I'll pass the ball to Erica.
Thank you, Frank. I'm going to start off with a very quick recap. Frank gave you the high level of it, and I'll give you even just a brief synopsis. That we wanted to start this meeting with a recap of how we did in FY14. At town meeting time, we don't have complete end-of-year estimates. We don't have our free cash certified. We don't have any of that because fiscal year ends at the end of June. So what we learned is that in FY14, the town exceeded revenue estimates, performing ahead of projections by approximately 22%. So that means we did some really good things. We had more money come in than we projected, because you never want that money to be projected to be higher than what you can actually bring in. So that was great, and to have that exceed that by $644,000 is wonderful. Also, on the expense side, the diligent oversight by the municipal departments was extraordinary this year. They really are keeping their budgets in line. They're keeping their expenses down. And with the exception of snow and ice, which of course last year was a big winter, we had a lot more money had to be spent on that than we wanted to. But we closed out about $350,000 of unexpended appropriations going into this year. So as Frank said, that leaves us with a free cash balance of $1,591,092. Now, that sounds like an awesome number, doesn't it? Sounds really good. Pat ourselves on the back, we're doing well. But we are still far, far below where we should be. These are our different funds that we have. We have our free cash on the left. Going to the right is stabilization, land sale fund, and the reserve fund. These are different funds that we can pull from for different expenditures within the town. The warrant articles before you tonight are going to primarily focus on that left-hand column, which is the free cash. It's not free and it's not cash. It is the town's money. It should not be used for operating expenses. It can be used as with the will of the town by a majority of a vote here at town meeting. These are the articles that are put before you. We can't spend this money. The Board of Selectmen can't spend this money. This is spent by the townspeople. So these are your articles to understand and vote appropriately on. Just to give you a sense also, land sale, that is one that all of those parcels of property over the years that we've taken off are now being sold. That money can be used for capital expenses. But once it's gone, it's gone. We don't have a whole lot of property sitting out there any longer. But the good news is that a lot of those have been developed and will now be making money for the town, as they'll now be on our rolls for those annual property taxes. So what we need to think about as we go through all of this is that the monies that we have in our land sale fund, our stabilization, and our reserve funds are limited, and they must be spent prudently. So what are we facing for challenges? All right, first up, one of the warrant articles tonight is the septic system plan for Town Hall. Article 5 is a request to fund the engineering and construction services for design of a town hall pump station and force main. In very simple terms, town hall septic system is in failure. The $75,000 in that warrant article is to fund the engineering study and design plan to tie into the Newburyport system. This does not cover the cost to actually tie in or build that system. These costs will be much higher, estimated at this point around upwards of $600,000 to $700,000. So that's coming down at us. Next part, which I'm going to just give a very brief overview, is the police station. The conditions are, in a word, deplorable, and we need a long-term plan to address it. Luckily, our townspeople and members of the Municipal Building Committee are going to give us a little bit more insights on this, and look at this huge capital expense. This is the largest capital expense the town has had to consider since funding the Newbury Elementary School project, and that was almost a decade ago. But our police station, oh shoot, how did I get out of that? Escape. There we go, got it. All right. Okay, the other key facilities are in the town is that in addition to the long-term plan for the police station, there are known capital improvements for the elementary school, which is owned by the town, the library, which we all voted to build and fund, and other public buildings, including the Grange and the town barn. The current projections for the next 5 years in these account for more than $1 million, just for the school and the library projects. So you see those numbers are ticking up. That reserve, those free cash, it's dwindling as we look ahead. And then we also have, how do we get around town? We have our road improvements. Last year at town meeting, we passed and funded a town-wide inventory and analysis to help guide and prioritize road work. This will help guide our own funding as well, our own spending, as well as the Chapter 90 funds that we receive from the state. So, in a nutshell, our current reserves fall far short of the monies needed to address all of the worthy projects in our town. So we must think about them, think of each of these articles prudently, and keep the long-term view in mind. Since we're not dealing primarily with operating budgets, just a quick reminder, our operating budgets each year are facing challenges. Rising operational costs for this municipal government, as well as town services and education. These are not going up because our districts are spending wildly, it's because their costs are just simply going up. They're doing their best to budget prudently, as is the town. Again, we need to address the infrastructure. Years of not funding maintenance has resulted in these deferred maintenance projects that are now going to cost us money, but we need to build in, just like you build into your own household budgets, the septic system funding, all those things that you have to do, we have to be better about building those into our operational budgets, and we're doing a great job. Tracy's got people on a good step, and we're trying to make sure those are funded from the operations side as we go. And last is reinstating the past budget cuts that we had to our operating budgets. We cut to the bone. When the overrides didn't pass and the money wasn't there, services were reduced. If we want to move back to at least, move incrementally back over those years, that's going to pose a challenge to our operating budget each year. So this is the quick overview. I'm not going to run through the items because we will talk about them, but we are going to let this slide be out here so that you can see these are the financial articles before you this evening. As I said up before, most of these are coming out of free cash requests. So this is that money, that 1.5 or almost $1.6 million that will show the difference, and if we fund all of them, where we end up in that free cash balance at the end of the day. So we're in a familiar place, but we're in a good spot, and we're getting better. The town is working diligently each year to keep operations in check and move forward. And now I'm going to turn it over to Eric, who's going to give us a quick update from the Municipal Building Committee.
Thank you, Erica. Good evening. My name is Eric Swan. I'm Chair of the Municipal Building Committee. I'm here tonight before you to give you my second annual town meeting address. For those of you who are not familiar or are not aware, the Municipal Building Committee is focused on developing a recommended solution to address the serious space and environmental deficiencies at the police station and the town hall facilities. The committee is looking into what the program for a new police station needs to be, what a budget for that needs to be, and the location. Sites have different costs involved with them. So, and I guess I really need to stress that now immediate action really is required. The issues were really identified in 2006 as part of the master plan's assessment of town-owned facilities. And the facility systems are so outdated that this year, almost $80,000 of unanticipated expenditures were required to make repairs to the police station. Some of those repairs included emergency cleanup from septic system overflows, combating biting sewer flies, addressing poor air quality with mold testing and remediation. It was even proposed that there would be a 2-day shutdown of the facility in which dispatch needed to be moved to fumigate for the flies, but the police thought that was a little too disruptive, so that was not done. So the issues remain and that they're ongoing. So I have a very short presentation. I've got three images to show you, and one is the town hall, and the message there is please don't be fooled by outward appearances. If you don't think the police station has an issue, then please tour it. It's your police station. You have every right to go see it. There is a poster or a board outside in the lobby, and it has information, contact information, in which you can email myself or other members of the Municipal Building Committee. You can talk to any selectman, anybody on the Capital Planning Committee, and anybody on the Finance Committee. I think we'd all be glad to talk about this issue. Second issue is that the second slide is really just, that's the lobby of the police station. That's the public space. That is the public space of the police station. The issues start right at the front door, and there are issues with town hall as well. Both the town hall has an accessibility issue that's in violation of handicap accessibility codes right at the front door of town hall. The same is true for the police station. And on the third slide is just the trailers at town hall. The town hall doesn't have the space to accommodate the police station and or the some town hall departments in which there are, I think, 5 town hall employees that are in trailers and 3 members of the police department that are in trailers. So the Municipal Building Committee is working with all the town boards and committees. Frank noted there will be some meetings coming up in which we'll get together and discuss the issues. The Municipal Building Committee meets at 7 o'clock in the morning, so if you're an early bird, please look at the website and show up. We will also be holding some evening meetings for those people that can't make it in the morning, and we'll also be announcing some public workshops in which we plan to present our progress and our ideas, as I said, on budget, on schedule, and on site. So to that end, the voters, you will see a warrant article in the spring to recommend funding for the preliminary design. Between now and the spring annual town meeting, we should be able to come to at least a presented site and schedule and budget. We'll need funding to further advance that, and then the process will happen from there. So thank you for your time tonight, and I hope to see you at one of our workshops in the future. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Frank, Erica, and Eric for those reports. The last of the preliminary matters, I would call upon the chairman of the selectmen, Jeff Walker.
Thank you very much, Judge. My voice is a little hoarse, but also I would like to make sure that, Capital Planning and Finance Committee and someone on our board has been recognized, but also Tracy Blaze, our town administrator, and all the work that people are doing in Town Hall has to be recognized too, because everyone seems to be operating at this level, and we seem to be operating as a team. So, and going on to speak about Town Hall, something will be very different in the town of Newbury. It will be really obvious for those folks that go to Town Hall and have to have some information from the Board of Selectmen or a question answered. For a quarter of a century, the Board of Selectmen have been very lucky to have had access to the history and wisdom and guidance of Kathy Soroya. She has always kept us on track and for the most part out of trouble. So, from the Board of Selectmen, and I know the town of Newbury, I would like to thank Kathy, who I believe is not here tonight. Where is she? That's right too. Want me to start again? Kathy, I started a little bit before I realized you were outside, but I think you should know that we spoke about your wisdom, your knowledge of history, and your guidance, and how you always kept us out of trouble. So, from the Board of Selectmen, and I know the town of Newbury, I would like to thank Kathy as she retires from public service after 24 years on November 1st. It certainly will be different. We have truly appreciated your devotion to the town of Newbury, and once again, a little more applause for Kathy. I would like to invite everyone in the audience, I would like to invite all Newbury residents to attend the retirement reception for Kathy, which will be held Tuesday, October 28th, from 4 to 6 p.m. at Town Hall. So please come and join us to celebrate Kathy's long stay with us. Thanks, Kathy.
Okay, we'll get to the articles now. Article 1 on the warrant. To see if the town will vote to authorize the payment of the following fiscal year 2014 bills. Fiscal year 2014 is the one that ended on June 3rd. The sums to be taken from free cash. The bill is tree warden Steve's Tree Service, $3,650, or act in relation thereto. I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Moderator,
Mr. Allen.
I move that the town vote to authorize the payment of the following fiscal year 2014 bill. Said sum to be paid from free cash, $3,650 to Steve's Tree Service.
Second.
Ms. Allen, thank you. This is a vote that requires a 9/10 vote. The easy way to do it is essentially, if I can declare that the support is unanimous. Is there anyone opposed, or does anyone, first of all, is there any discussion? Okay. Does anyone wish to oppose the paying of the bill? Hearing none, I declare that it passes unanimously. Article number 2, to see if the town will vote to adjust certain amounts voted under Article 2, the general budget of the May 20, 2014 annual town meeting, so that the following accounts are now budgeted for the fiscal year 2015 as follows. I don't know if you are looking on a script that lists them. Let me quickly run through them. Administration and finance salaries and wages, $308,683. Public building utilities, $68,000. Public building property-related services, $44,000. Inspectional services and wages, $198,267. Library salaries and wages, $169,764. Long-term debt principal, $1,055,363. Long-term debt interest, $202,238. And to raise and appropriate the sum of $38,070 to fund such adjustments or act in relation thereto. Now, some of those numbers were higher than the 38,000. Those are just the adjustments and the appropriations already made to finance them for the 2015 year. Do I hear a motion on Article 2?
Mr. Moderator,
Yes. Mr. Connors.
I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $38,070 to fund the operation of the town in FY 2015.
And will somebody second the motion?
Second.
Motion is made and seconded. Does anyone wish to discuss? Is there any debate on this? Matters before the floor. Okay, hearing none, we can proceed to a vote. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed? And it's unanimous. Article number 3, to see if the town will vote to transfer the sum of $5,700 or any other sum from free cash to update the town's other post-employment benefits plan or act in relation thereto.
Mr. Moderator,
Yes, Mr. Case?
I move that the town vote to transfer $5,700 from free cash to update the town's other post-employment benefits plan.
Second.
Mr. Jesperson has seconded the motion. So it's made and seconded, it's before the floor. Does anyone wish to discuss it? Hearing no discussion? I'm sorry, what? Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Changing Article 3, then to just $5,700 and not some other sum?
Right. Well, I'm sorry,
Okay.
was that a question?
Yes.
Okay. You've got a nice clear voice, so I want to ask you to come down. What is the question again?
Are we changing Article 3 to read only $5,700 instead of $5,700 or any other sum? Because it was read by the person who proposed it
Yep.
and seconded without any other sum.
Right. I think, okay, let me ask the Finance Committee, Mr. Case.
You need to transfer that amount, but it allows up to, or any other sum.
Can't hear you.
That
Okay, it's, he could, okay.
The transfer is for $5,700. If for some reason or other, I'm assuming that if it's not that, the transfer would still occur, but I'm assuming we do have a Tracy, what do I want to say? Appropriate to a lesser number, but it can't go over that.
Okay, so
In case it comes in at 5,600.
in essence, what it does is
No more.
appropriates up to the 57,000 figure.
Up to, okay.
Right. I see the point, though. Or any other sum is very confusing. It
Yeah,
seems
it
to-
leaves a blank check out.
Because it could be $1 million, it's another sum. But I'm interpreting it, and we're voting on it this way, that what the meaning of the article is up to the sum of $57,000. What is it? $5,700. Yeah, Jenny, go ahead.
I just want to explain the discrepancy. There is a difference between the articles that are before you. When the articles are put out, they're not sure of the exact number because they have to be posted long in advance of the meeting. When the motion is made, it needs to be for a sum certain. That means that what is appropriated is up to $5,700. If it comes in more than that, they'd need another appropriation from town meeting to pay it. They will only be able to pay up to $5,700. So there's always going to be a difference in the warrant articles, which will say, or any other sum, in case it needs to change before town meeting, and the motions, which always need to appropriate a sum certain, and that's what they do.
It could be written more clearly.
It could be, but anyway, we're voting on an appropriation of the $5,700. Okay, and with that understanding, is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it, and it passes. Article number 4, to see if the town will vote to transfer the sum of $60,000 or any other sum from free cash to purchase and install a septic system on Mantor Field or to act in relation thereto. Now, I think that Ginny's town council's explanation of why it says or any other sum is it leaves it free to the meeting to vote a lesser sum. But if no amendment is made and we pass this article, it appropriates $60,000.
Mr. Moderator?
Yes.
Two points. First of all, before I make a motion, I'd like to remind the people that we have microphones, and so if you do want to speak to the audience so that it will be carried on air, please come and use the microphone. That being said, I move that the town vote to transfer $60,000 from free cash to purchase and install a septic system at Manor Field.
Second.
Okay, the motion is made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it, and the article passes. The motion passes. Okay, do we actually have microphones out in the audience? Okay, good, thank you.
Mr. Moderator, just to add to that, anyone who wishes to speak must state their name and address as well.
Good point. Good point. I'll try you, keep reminding me. I'm new at this. Okay, thank you. Article 5, to see if the town will vote to transfer the sum of $75,000 or any other sum from free cash to provide engineering and construction services for the design of the Town Hall pump station and force main, or act in relation thereto. And I would like a,
Mr. Moderator,
yes, Mr. Connors.
I move the town vote to transfer $75,000 from free cash for engineering and construction services for the design of the Town Hall pump station and force main.
A second? Mr. Remley seconds the motion. We've already heard an explanation of this from the presentations that have been made at the beginning. Is there any discussion? Yes, sir. And would you go state your name at one of the microphones?
Christopher Christock, 63 Sunset Drive. This is a large expenditure, and it seems like there's a real need for it. There's also going to be a need for a redesign of the entire facility. Has there been any consideration given to the possibility of combining what will likely be a large design or engineering expenditure for the entire building and combining it with this to save perhaps on some redundancies? I don't know if that's possible.
Okay. Who would like to respond to that? Mr. Connors?
It's a great question. Unfortunately, the planning process to, one, first approve a police station and then enter in the construction period will take 18 to 24 months at a minimum. The septic system is now in a state of failure, and we really need to address this immediately. But the design criteria will be of such that it will anticipate and calculate the potential expansion of Town Hall to be able to provide services to any expanded facility.
Any other discussion? Yes, sir. Ma'am, just go to the microphone, please. State your name.
Mary Chick, 34 Newman Road. I forgot my point. Give me a minute here. Oh, is the current failing septic system a freestanding system that was dug, or is it already tied to Newburyport?
It is not tied to Newburyport at this time.
If we tie to Newburyport, do we then pay a septic bill from the town offices? And is it an ongoing charge?
Yes, likely.
So wouldn't we be better to spend that money to redo the existing dug system and not have an ongoing charge?
The existing DUG system is a leaching field. It's not connected at all to Newburyport, and it won't be.
Why do we need to be connected to Newburyport?
Well, because we want them to take care of the sewage from Town
They
Hall.
don't do a very good job on Vineland now, do they? I would work with what we've got and redo it.
Just to follow up on that response, the footprint at Town Hall is, as you can imagine, is very tight with the building footprint. There is no reserve field area available to be able to rebuild the existing system. And with the proposed expansion of Town Hall for addressing our shortfall at the police station, we certainly wouldn't be able to consider a septic field. Hence, that's why tying it into the municipal sewer system has been the recommended course of action.
Okay, sir. Mr. Thurlow.
I'll identify myself. Fred Thurlow, 26 Marsh Avenue. Down too low. This is $75,000 appropriation, and I think I just heard that the actual construction will be $600,000. So you're talking $700,000 to do this. And we haven't even made a decision where the police station is going to go, where the town hall might be. I mean, right now you've got the police station and the town hall overfilling the system we have. It would just seem to me that we should know the answers from the committee on the capital building committee before we start spending this kind of money. I mean, we could have a tight tank with an awful lot of pump outs for $700,000. Are we putting the cart before the horse?
Okay, Mr. Connors, would you like to answer that? Or anyone else, Erica, would you like to?
Fred, you bring up good points. I think the reality is that when the system is in failure, it's an immediate need. Now, certainly putting in a tight tank may be an option. The cost of that we haven't calculated, and it's a temporary solution at best.
I realize that.
And also, too, we're dealing with DEP regulations on tight tanks, but I think it's a good question, and I really don't have any recommendation. The concern we have is if the system is in complete failure and inoperable, we then have to cease using town hall, and then that adds a whole different level of problems for the town.
Well, you wouldn't if you had a tight tank, but yeah.
Even if that's a possibility for a commercial building.
Now, there is one other option. This is $700,000. We have a tight lot there, I understand that. We could take the property next door, and that probably would be less than $700,000 as a wild guess. And that might make space to do that. I think this needs some more thought. I understand we got a pressing need, but that's a lot of money, especially if we end up putting the police station somewhere else.
Just to justify the engineering, the potential tie-in could be up to a quarter mile away. So you're doing an engineering plan of road elevations to whatever the approved final tie-in.
I understand. Yeah.
All your points are well taken.
Is there any further discussion? If not, I'll call the article. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed?
No.
Could I have a standing vote? I didn't. Okay, let's do it as a standing vote. Mr. Kelly, would you be the counter? Okay. All those in favor of the $60,000 appropriation, $75,000 appropriation, stand. All those opposed, please stand. I thank God for Mr. Kelly counting, because I can't see a thing with that light on my face.
58 in favor and 15 against.
58 in favor, 15 against. The article carries. The next article is 6. To see if the town will vote to transfer the sum of $15,000 or any other sum from free cash to replace the stairs at the Byfield Grange building or act in relation thereto.
Mr. Moderator?
Yes, Mr. Remley?
I move that no action be taken on this article. And the reason is that the Finance Committee has already approved the transfer of $15,000 from the reserve fund for this purpose. This is an emergency repair. It's needed right away. It'll speed up the whole process, and the money is there. So we voted last week to transfer the 15,000, so it does need to come out of free cash.
Okay, if you would hold that in your mind, thank you for doing the second, which I totally forgot. But now you've heard the explanation of the motion. The motion before the meeting now is to remove, take no action on the article. Okay, do you understand it?
Yes.
And the reason for it, are there any questions? All those in favor of the motion, which will remove the article, say aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it, and the article is, no action will be taken on. Next article is number 7, to see if the town will vote to transfer the sum of $60,000 or any other sum from free cash to fund a master plan and open space and recreation plan update or act in relation thereto.
Mr. Moderator,
Mr. Jesperson.
I move that the town vote to transfer $60,000 from free cash to fund a master plan, an open space, and recreation plan.
Second. And it's been seconded by Mr. Pace. Is there any discussion of the article? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
No.
Okay, I think I can declare that as having passed. And so Article 7 passes. Article number 8, to see if the town will vote to cease assessing the excise tax imposed under General Laws, Chapter 59, Section 8A, on certain animals, machinery, and equipment owned by individuals and non-corporate entities principally engaged in agriculture or act in relation thereto. I would like to hear a motion.
Mr. Moderator,
Mr. Case?
I move that the town vote to cease assessing the excise tax imposed under Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 59, Section 8A.
For second, Mrs. Allen seconds, and it's before the floor now. Does anyone wish to be heard on Article 8? Yes.
Lucille Cooter, 5 Hanover Drive. I have a question. How much revenue is this going to change the town? And do other towns have this exemption or not?
Okay, who would like to answer? Mr. Baker?
We will lose nothing because we have not been assessing it in the past. And based on information we received, it's one of those state laws that probably cost us more to implement than we would receive in taxes.
Okay. Thank you.
Good. Are there, okay, so we are voting to disauthorize a tax we never collect anyway. So all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. And the Article 8 passes. Article 9, to see if the town will vote to amend Chapter 24 of the bylaws, which these are the bylaws on personnel policy as follows. By replacing the existing Section 2411D with the following. Employees will accrue their annual vacation leave allotment on a monthly basis. Vacation time used will be recorded on an hourly basis. Vacation leave is not available for use until the employee has completed 6 months of continuous employment with the town of Newbury and is subject to the approval of the appropriate department head or appointing authority as provided in paragraph 2411 herein. Employees may carry over, this is in bold type, so I think it's the change in the bylaw. Employees may carry over any unused vacation days into the next fiscal year, so long as they are used within 90 days of the beginning of the new fiscal year.
Mr. Moderator,
Yes, Ms. Jacobs.
I move that the town vote to amend Chapter 24 of its bylaws, personnel policy, as set forth in the warrant.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
This motion has been made and seconded. Is there discussion on the change in the bylaw? Hearing none, I'll ask all those in favor to say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it, and the article carries. The next, Article number 10, to see if the town will vote to instruct the Board of Selectmen to petition the General Court to adopt the following. It's an act directing the Commissioner of Fisheries, Wildlife, and Recreational Vehicles to convey certain land in Newbury to Richard J. Boudreau and Pauline C. Boudreau, be it enacted as follows. And the section that is in the warrant, and which I won't read entirely, is for the purpose of promoting the public good. The Commissioner is hereby authorized and directed to convey to the Boudreaus in the name and on behalf of the Commonwealth by quitclaim deed the following described land situated in Newbury on the southwesterly side of Moody Street, so-called, bounded and described as follows. And then it is provided a description of the Boudreau's lot. This is to make it the Boudreau's lot. So the article is to see if this meeting will direct the selectmen to ask the General Court to pass the legislation instructing the Commissioner of Fish and Game to make this transfer of land. So I need a motion on the article.
Mr. Moderator,
Mr. Case.
I move that the town vote to instruct the Board of Selectmen to petition the General Court to adopt the legislation as set forth in the warrant.
I hear a second.
Second.
Mr. Connors seconds. Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion?
Mr. Moderator.
Yes.
My name is Bud Connors. I reside at 39 Annapolis Way. I'd like to speak in this matter quickly. The Boudreau family has lived in Newbury for 45 years, paying their real estate taxes each and every year. They are now faced with a title flaw that remarkably can only be resolved by town meeting favorably approving this warrant tonight, so they then can petition the General Court to clear up this title flaw. I would just urge everyone to support our neighbors of 45 years and vote yes on this matter.
Thank you for that very lucid explanation. Does anyone else wish to be heard on the subject of the article? Hearing none, all those in favor? I'm sorry?
There's someone here.
Oh, okay. If you would come to the microphone, please.
Mr. Moderator, this is the attorney representing the Boudreau family. She is not a resident of the town, so we may have to take action to allow her to vote if Connie seeks to add anything to this.
I would ask first if the town meeting will allow Ms.
Connie Gutierrez.
Connie
Connie Gutierrez.
Gutierrez address the meeting. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? No. You may go ahead and speak. I'd suggest you try pulling the microphone down.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Moderator, Attorney Connie Gutierrez, I represent Richard and Pauline Boudreau. I think Mr. Connors has given a very succinct explanation. And the purpose for me rising is to see if there are any questions that perhaps any of the members of the town meeting may have. I'm happy to go through the history of what has occurred here since 1945 when the taking occurred. I don't want to take up all your time.
Right.
So
Well, let's see first if we need.
Okay.
I thank you for making yourself available to answer the questions. Does anyone have any questions? Okay. I think with Mr. Connor's explanation, I think we've got a clear picture of what it does and what the justification is for the article. So at this point, I would ask if all those in favor of the article, of the motion, to say aye. Aye. All those opposed to the motion? No. Okay, the ayes have it, and thank you very much for being available. The motion passes. And the article passes. Why would they? Because it's wrong. Article number 11, to see if the town will vote to accept the following demolition delay bylaw. 1, definition. The applicant, any person or entity who files an application for a demolition permit. If the applicant is not the owner of the premises upon which the structure is situated, the owner must indicate on or with the application his or her assent to the filing of the application. Am I doing something wrong?
No,
Oh my goodness, yes. Thank you. The demolition delay bylaw is 7 pages long. You have it in front of you in the articles for the warrant that were printed out and that you received on coming in. So I would direct your attention to the 7 pages that follow article number 11. I'll leave it up to the person. I need a motion on the article. Remember, the article is to see if we will pass a demolition delay bylaw. So I need someone to move it.
Mr. Moderator,
Yes, sir.
I move that the town vote to adopt the demolition delay bylaw as set forth in the warrant.
Okay, it's moved and seconded. It's before the floor. Sir, do you wish to speak on it?
Yes, Channing Howard, 61 Central Street, Byfield, Chair of the Newbury Historical Commission. The first parish of Newbury experienced rapid growth during the federal period, and the beautiful handmade houses still number over about 125 left in our community in the pre-1820 structures. The purpose of the demolition delay bylaw is to review these structures in the event of basically hold and try to save a structure that's being an application is giving for a demolition permit, usually followed by some type of new structure or development. In our core areas of town, we have a lot of still beautiful antique houses. As you look at our lower green, our upper green, there's still large tracts of land there. On those properties are antique houses, and the purpose of the demolition delay bylaw is to stop tear downs. The actual buying of a house with a tract of land or usable land to specifically tear the house down and use the land for further development because it has more value. An antique house sometimes sells at a cheap price because banks don't want to finance them, engineers don't want to do drawings on them, and a lot of new buyers sometimes are afraid of antique houses. So the houses sometimes have low price tags, developers see that, they see a potential lot that they can build a large house on, so they buy it and want to demolish the antique house on that property. The Historical Commission tonight is proposing the demolition delay bylaw, which once the applicant goes to the building commissioner, they get a demolition permit. The permit then will be forwarded to the Historical Commission, and after 15 days, the Historical Commission will decide if it is a significant structure, i.e. built before 1820, if it is on the National Register or can be put on the National Register, or have other historical or architectural significance. If it is deemed a significant structure, it will go forward in a process of public hearing, and then the property will be examined. If it is not considered a significant structure, then the permit for demolition will be released by the building commissioner. If the building is considered a significant structure, there will be a public hearing before the Historical Commission where the pros and cons of the buildings, the positive aspects and the architectural value of the building will be discussed, and then the Historical Commission will examine the building in detail and come up with a decision of whether the building will be preferably preserved. If the Historical Commission determines the building is to be preferably preserved, then there will be a 9-month delay on the demolition permit. In this period of time, this will give the seller and the buyer and the Historical Commission and any other parties involved an opportunity to find resolution to what can be done with the house. Can the house be saved? Can the house be moved? Or other means be met? Can the house be kept as part of the plan for the property if it's going to be a development? We've seen that happen in this town. And in that period of time, there is an escape clause in this after 6 months. If all means have been exhausted and all requirements have been met and all efforts have been made to save the house and nothing has been found, nothing can be done, and the Historical Commission at that point, at their will release the demolition permit. And this also gives the Historical Commission an opportunity to get into the house, record, take pictures, record all the architectural and historical information about the house for our archives also. I hope everybody has gotten, as they came in, the demolition delay bylaw handout. The important part is the front green cover. There's a green line across, border across the top. It shows you the flow sheet. It shows you the permit process, the timeline, so you understand is more of them available if you need it. I'll be glad to answer questions in reference to this. Our demolition delay bylaw that we're proposing is crafted directly from the state of Massachusetts template. Mass Historical Commission has supplied all the towns with a copy of the demolition delay bylaw, and we've basically adhered to that. The time period is all houses before 1820, and the time period of the delay is 9 months. In some towns, the time goes as long as 12 months, and that's what, and some as short as 6 months. This is the beginning step for us to get this in. Many towns end up changing their periods once they get this into operation. That is it in summary. All surrounding towns that border us, and almost all towns in this part of the state, have a demolition delay bylaw in place. Somewhere over 100 to 150 towns in Massachusetts already have any portion of a demolition delay bylaw as a preservation tool to saving our remaining antique houses. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Chairman Howard. Would you remain up here because I think you'll be in a position to answer any questions that may come up. This is the thing that you could have gotten at the door, and I assume you did, describing in non-legal terms the effect of the demolition delay bylaw. Are there questions? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Alicia Greco. I was at 3 Courtney Drive.
I'm sorry, would you pull the microphone down a little bit?
Alicia Greco, 3 Courtney Drive. I have a question. You said that this is the first step.
Would you speak into the microphone so we can hear you? In other words, it's funny not to look at the person that you're addressing the question to, but it is important to speak into the mic so that your remarks will be recorded.
Thank you. When you said this is the first step to bring this bylaw into the town, can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yes. My only comment about the first step, this is to get the bylaw into town. The only changes, I guess I said that because when I went to the seminars at the State House with the Historical Commission, the State Historical Commissions, and towns like North Reading, one of their representatives got up and spoke for a while, and they've changed their time periods. They've changed their delay time period in both directions. And to better fit how their town operates. I don't foresee any dramatic changes. We basically want to get into this and get it working, and unless there's any outcry to change anything, this is what we will stick to. This is not any type of regulation on your home and your house. In the houses that you live in, this is not a historic district. This has nothing to do with a historic district. This has nothing to do with any regulation on existing houses. This is just for demolition permits to tear down an antique house in the town of Newbury.
Thank you. Do you have another question?
Yeah, I just want to follow up with that a little bit. So if there was to be a change to this bylaw, would it have to come before the town in the form of an amendment, or would it just be at the will of the historian?
Yes, it has to come before the town as an amendment to this bylaw. The Historic Commission cannot change any of that on their own.
So town council verifies that. So it would come before the town on a ballot.
It's an article, warrant article.
At a town meeting. Okay. Well, isn't this the warrant article?
If they wanted to change it for the future, we would have to come back.
Oh, if they want to change it.
Yeah.
But this is to adopt the bylaw.
That's correct.
Right. Okay. Are there any other questions?
Mr. Moderator?
Yes, sir.
Oh, go ahead.
Mr. Brown, you'd come down and speak into the mic. Everybody knows you anyway, but that's irrelevant.
I see from the green handout that you've established the date 1820. How do you establish that where the other towns have gone much later into the 20th century?
We came up with the date of 1820 that is the end of the federal period and the beginning of the Greek period. And that's from the Spinia New England Preservation Handbook. That's how we came up with that date. We're trying to come up with a less cumbersome demolition delay bylaw. We don't want it to become ridiculous that we review tearing down a 1950 house and if anything like that in the town happens. And one of the reasons that we don't want to get into a giant review process with every demolition permit that comes before the building commissioner is it's very time consuming. It has to be timed. We have a certain amount of time. We're just a small group, the Historical Commission. We have no clerical help. We have no assistance. We'd have to handle it all on our own. We have to do hearings. We have to do site walk. Then we have to go back again. And then it's quite entailed. So if we wanted to raise that time, date line later, we may, but we want to start out in baby steps. We want to start with something conservative. We don't want to, for the landowner that does need to demolish a delinquent house on their property, we don't want to tie up somebody's land without dragging the process out. So
Okay,
that's the explanation.
Okay, I think you've answered the question. Are there any other questions for Mr. Hutt? Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Larry Murphy. I'm at 30 School Street. This is actually a question for town council. If you could clarify the point that this gentleman made about the date of the construction of the structures that are subject to the bylaw. As I'm reading this in section 1.9, there are actually 5 different bullet points, if you will, what types of structures that can be included under the bylaw. You don't have to meet all 5 of the criteria, but simply 1 of the 5. Now, the 1820 date is mentioned in 19A, but 19D seems to give a lot more discretion and talks about broad architectural, cultural, political, economic, agricultural, social history of the town of the Commonwealth. That is, properties that are significant in that regard. My question is, does this apply simply to structures that were built by 1820 or prior thereto, or would later structures also be subject?
Okay,
The question is how.
yeah, it was. And would you like to speak, or would you like to listen to the answer? Okay. Or if you would give an answer to that, and then let me check with town council at that point.
Okay, that jargon on there, that is from the state template. So that's where that came from. To answer your question, if there was a building that is after 1820, that it was a historical significance, say the snuff mill on Larkin Road was post that date, historically significant building in our town, that would have gone through the process. That would be a good example, is a later building that, but a significant structure, historically important structure, the snuff mill on Larkin Road would have gone through this process.
Okay, town council agrees with the answer. Any other questions?
Mr. Moderator?
Yes.
Gene Case, 33 Parker Street. Who determines which structures that have been built after 1820 meet criteria in 19.9D and 1.9E? It seems to me that's very broad, as the gentleman has indicated. Could you clarify that a little more?
To clarify, that would be the members of the Newbury Historical Commission would be responsible
So
for...
it's extremely broad in terms of its application. It's dependent on the decision of the Historic Commission. I mean, a house could be built in 1920, and if it's deemed historically significant by the Historical Commission, and someone wants to demolish it, it would have to go, if you determined it was historically significant, you would have to then go through this process.
Yes.
Or if it was built in 1950.
Yes.
Or if it was built in 2000. That's pretty broad. That's very broad. Now, I'm not speaking against the intent of this bylaw, but it seems to me that those 2 portions give you very, very broad powers with respect to anything, any structure that you deem historically significant. And I'm not sure that that's what your intention is. If it is, I would encourage a no vote, because that's much too broad.
The intention is, that would be the Historical Commission is not looking for any type of massive control over the town. Where that wording came from is from the Mass Historical's the template.
I applaud the members of the Historic Commission for the work they're doing. 5 years from now, there could be 5 different people making that decision about my house, which was built in 1970. If for some reason there's a determination, it's not clear. And I think it gives far too broad a power to that commission.
Mr. Moderator, can we amend
the article.
Okay, and this would be essentially amending the bylaw proposed by the article to take out certain of those. Okay, the answer by town council is that, as with any amendment, we would have to put it in writing and have it before the meeting for a vote on amendments. Just a suggestion, Mr. Case has found the possible overbreadth in the section 1.9 definition of significant structure. And would it, I'm not saying what we should do, if we start amending the proposed bylaw, we may be here for quite a period of time this evening.
Mr. Moderator?
Yes.
This is Dave Jesperson, the other side.
Yes, Mr. Jesperson.
I would encourage people to vote yes on this. While this language is very broad, it's also a committee within our town. These people represent our interests. Were there a historic commission that decided to be tyrannical, we could get rid of them in short order. It's our town, and they serve us just as the selectmen and the finance committee. I mean, the finance committee has a lot of say over our funds. If they started spending the one fund they control entirely with great irresponsibility, they would soon no longer be our financial committee. So I think that while this language is broad, it also serves to protect something quite important, and should they abuse the powers in this bylaw, they will no longer be serving us.
Yes, sir.
Sorry. To town council just did point out to me, if there was any question about the application, whether the structure was considered a significant structure or not, once the historical commission decides it's a significant structure, then there is one or more public hearings following that as a vetting process if there's any question. So there still is a public input on anything that we do.
Okay, yes?
I'll make this brief. I'd just like to second what Mr. Jesperson said. Melissa Mashburn, 614th Street, Newbury, Mass. Because with all due respect to you, Mr. Case, and your circa 1970 home, unless you're planning to write the great American novel, I think it's unlikely that this particular bylaw will interfere. So I would simply say that I hope that our town will pass this. Thank you.
Sir?
Dale Williams, Scotland Heights Drive. I think bullet point B, C, D, and E makes bullet point A irrelevant. Why are we even talking about 1820? Because when you go down to B, C, D, and E, there's all these other exceptions. Why not pick 1846? Why not 1903? Because if it doesn't meet that criteria, pick one of the others, because you only have to meet one of them. So why do we even put in 1820? It's kind of capricious, I think.
Mr. Moderator? Bob Connors, 39 Annapolis Way. I was looking through our town charter this morning because a demolition bylaw is a valuable tool to preserve our heritage. When trying to find the Historic Commission's duties, terms, and all the other similar constraints or controls or powers within our own charter, none exist. And the town administrator informed me that we're relying on strictly state law. I would strongly suggest that this is far-reaching, has significant impact. Any delay in the transaction of a homeowner, a neighbor, a fellow resident has an impact. The difference of a 9-month delay could mean the difference of you being able to sell your home or not sell your home. I think, one, if we're going to go down this road, we should do it correctly. We should take the time, create a bylaw establishing the duties and the powers and the constraints on a historic commission, like all the other boards and commissions do. This is not an advisory board anymore. This becomes, there's an approval process here. What is the appeal process if we don't like the decision of the Historic Commission? So I think this is a very worthy idea, but I think it's premature to deal with this tonight. And I would hope to see it come back at the annual town meeting with a bylaw identifying what the Historic Commission's mission is, its duties, its length of term, appointments. But I think it's important to have an appeal process. Public hearings are great, but a board can then decide whatever they want. What is the appeal process to address a negative determination? Thank you.
Sir, you wish to make a statement? Okay. One thing I would just remind you of is that the Historic Commission held 2 open meetings on this, invited people to come and get educated on it. I think I'm correct in saying nobody showed up, including myself. It seems to me that we all need to learn more about the subject. But I think, we've heard cogent arguments on both sides, and unless someone else wishes to speak, I would call for a vote. First, before I call for a vote, let me see a show of hands of all those in favor of the passage of the bylaw in its present form. And all those opposed. Okay. What I was trying to do was get a sense of whether we should, I think there's, does this have to pass? It's a majority, and I think I see a majority in the hands. Let us do the usual voice count. All those in favor of the adoption of the motion, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no. No. I think I will have a standing vote. All those in favor of the adoption of the motion, please rise. Okay, you may sit down. All those opposed to the adoption of the motion, please rise. Vote is 46 in favor, 25 opposed. I declare that the motion passes.
Mr. Moderator, I would entertain a motion, make a motion to adjourn a special town meeting.
Yeah, are we done with all the articles? Okay, I didn't realize that we were. A motion has been made to adjourn. All those, it's been seconded. All those in favor?
All those in